We are back again with another unit datasheet review. This time it's a unit that a lot of people don't like. Personally, I love them a lot, and I think they are genuinely a bit of a hidden gem amongst the enormous tome that is the 10th edition Space Marines Index. And today we are looking at the chonky battle line unit, the Heavy Intercessor Squad. Now, these boys are your Gravis armor wearing battle line choice. They sport a sturdier, more damaging range profile at the expense of the melee potential of something like the Assault Intercessors, or just the more generic all-rounder profile of the regular Intercessors. And the Heavy Intercessors are only a 5-inch move, so they are not the speediest of models, but they do have an incredibly durable profile with toughness 6, 3 wounds each, a 3-up save, and then of course they have that OC2 to help even smaller squads hold on to objectives for you. So straight off the bat we can tell they really are definitely tanky. They've got 2 extra toughness and an extra wound over regular Intercessors, which is a very significant upgrade, and they don't actually pay all that much for it. A regular Intercessor is 19 points per model, whilst the Heavy Intercessor, for that extra toughness and the extra wound, as well as we'll see in a bit, their different damage profile, is only 22 points a model, meaning a full 10-man squad can net you 30 toughness 6 wounds for really a very cheap 220 points. And what makes these guys even better for just sitting back and holding an objective is that they get even more durable thanks to their special rule, unyielding in the face of the foe. And what that means is that against 1 damage attacks, their save gets improved by 1. So this essentially will net you a 2-up save from bolters to las guns to pulsed rifles, and it even works in melee, so even enemy squads that have like chainswords or power swords or other 1 damage combat weaponry, they are going to have a really tough time getting through these guys. And just as a very quick bit of math hammer here, a squad of 10 Howling Banshees charging in even with their -3 AP Banshee blades will only net about 4 wounds against a squad of Heavy Intercessors, so they really are very durable for their points, and they are going to be very difficult for your enemy to just put in some anti-infantry 1 damage chip firepower into. They really do need dedicated 2 or 3 damage weaponry to really have a good chance of taking them out with any kind of speed. So defensively, especially on a home objective or in cover somewhere in your deployment zone, they are remarkably durable for their cost. But on the offensive front as well, these guys really aren't too shabby for their points. It's nothing super exciting, but their heavy bolt rifles are both assault and heavy, so they give you that option for more accurate stationary fire, or still being able to advance and shoot to get round their 5-inch move weakness. But then they have 2 shots at strength 5, -1 AP and 1 damage, so they are a solid anti-infantry gun, and with a 30-inch range, it means that they are ridiculously good at stopping things like the aforementioned Banshees from even reaching combat. They can also take 1 heavy bolter per 5, meaning a squad of 10 for 220 points can be throwing out 16 strength 5 -1 AP 1 damage shots at 30 inches and 6 strength 5 -1 AP 2 damage shots with sustained hits at 36 inches. So even though they are not the most terrifying ranged unit, they really can do a solid amount of anti-infantry work on your enemy's list all the way from back in your deployment quite safely, and they will easily kill about 8 Howling Banshees or nearly 4 toughness 4 3-up save bodies before they can get anywhere close to you. In fact, in some cases, before they can even leave their deployment. So as backfield objective holders that can just pepper enemy infantry from a relatively safe distance all game long, I do genuinely think these guys are a really good investment for your points. Now of course they do have weaknesses. They have absolutely god awful melee potential. They've got 3 strength 4 0 AP 1 damage attacks each, and no option even for a special weapon on the Sergeant, so they are going to struggle to fight off anything even remotely durable that may want to tie them up, so you do have to watch out for that. But again, with their range, it's not really that difficult to stay away from the stuff you don't want too close to you, while still putting out a very decent amount of firepower to pretty much anywhere on the board that you need it. And then of course, if you are worried about them getting into melee, you can add various characters from the index to them to add not only the bonuses that they bring as a leader, but also to give the squad a bit of a melee punch as well. The captain in Gravis armor can join them, which of course brings immediately some great melee output, as well as a free strat use every battle round for the squad, Storm of Fire being a really good pick to help their damage at range get even more powerful. And then on top of that, if you give the captain the Bolter Discipline enhancement, you could be getting sustained hits on all those heavy bolt rifle shots as well, proccing criticals on 5+ in Devastator Doctrine, and also getting a boost to -2 AP instead of -1, which is, let's be honest, a really solid little shooty combo for just 315 points. And then again, to go back to some math hammer, this unit goes from killing around 4 marine bodies to instead, in the Devastator Doctrine, taking out over 7, so almost doubling the amount of damage that you're putting through, and that's not even counting the captain's shooting as well. So this is a relatively cheap but quite strong combo, and gives you not only great ranged output but also some semi-decent melee output from the captain, and of course an incredibly durable objective holder for your backfield. On the other hand, if you wanted to go for a newer model, the new Apothecary Biologist can also be a great choice for a squad of Heavy Intercessors. Again, it brings the potential Bolter Discipline enhancement if you give it to him, but he instead brings lethal hits to his squad with his Surgical Precision rule, which means of course a lot more auto wounding from those heavy bolt rifles. So this can help them again be great at taking out infantry, but also start to pick apart some of those tougher, more durable enemy units and maybe even vehicles and monsters with their 30-inch range guns as well. You also have an option for a few chapter specific choices for characters that can join the Heavy Intercessors. The Imperial Fist Gravis character Tor Garadon, he's 100 points, so he's only slightly more than a Gravis captain, but he brings some incredibly nasty melee attacks, especially against monsters and vehicles. Against them he is strength 14, -4 AP and 4 damage. And then for his squad, he brings them lethal hits and ignores cover, which are 2 very, very strong buffs for again killing tougher enemy infantry units, or just infantry units that may be trying to stay safe in some ruins or behind some cover to get a bonus to their save. You can just pick them apart so much more easily with Tor Garadon. Alternatively, if you wanted to go the most durable route you could, Ironfather Pharos is another potential pick. The Iron Hands character again brings some decent melee potential to the squad to keep them from being tied up, but he also grants the unit a 5-up Feel No Pain. So now your Heavy Intercessor squad can potentially be 30 wounds at toughness 6 with a 3-up save, getting +1 to that against 1 damage weaponry, and then also having a 5-up Feel No Pain to back them up. So if you want a squad that is just going to sit on an objective, hold it all game long, and be pretty much Custodes level durable for basically half the price, he is definitely worth considering as a leader for your Heavy Intercessors too. So I think in general, Heavy Intercessors, they may not have always been the most meta pick since their model release came out, but for a relatively cheap 220 points for 10 of them, they do actually bring a lot to the table, and I would argue they are probably the best marine battle line unit around at the moment. They can do a genuinely decent amount of damage at a very long range as far as infantry units go, and whilst yes they are awful in melee, they are super good at just holding your backfield, keeping some objectives safe on your side of the board, and just punishing enemy units that are sitting back and hoping to maybe stay out of range of your anti-infantry firepower. If your opponent thinks most of your anti-infantry firepower is going to be around 24 inches or so, you can really surprise them and catch them out with that extra 6 inches of range and just wipe out a squad that may be positioned ever so slightly too far forward. In general, I just think they are really durable, they do some solid damage at range, and they have some really good combos with a few of the marine characters too, that even with the characters attached, still leave them being a relatively cheap addition to your army. I think if you want some battle line units, Heavy Intercessors are the way to go, unless you have a specific plan to move stuff up and get into melee, in which case maybe the Assault Intercessors would be better. But if you just want a generic backfield holding unit that can zone out deep strikers, can hold some objectives and just put some anti-infantry firepower down range all game long, Heavy Intercessors are by far and large the best choice of battle line for a Marine player at the moment. But as always, I'd love to know what your thoughts are on Heavy Intercessors. Are they good, or would you still prefer to bring some regular or some Assault Intercessors instead? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe for more Warhammer content from me, but until next time, I'll catch you later guys.